Welcome to Powerless to Powerful with Angela Bennett, a show that brings a sassy mix of transformative advice on health, relationships, love, career, and mindset shifting, together with some fun and laughter. Powerless to Powerful with Angela Bennett begins now.
Okay, welcome to Powerless to Powerful podcast. I'm here with my friend and guest, Brad Romaniszyn from Unlocking You Counselling, and today we are discussing what you can do if you're experiencing stress, depression, and anxiety. So, welcome, Brad. Thank you.
Thank you
for being here today. So, would you tell us? We're just going to dive straight in.
That's
Ready?
okay. Yeah.
Can you tell us about a time when you experienced stress, depression, or anxiety, how you recognized the symptoms, and what did you do to manage them?
I could probably think of a couple of times. I can think back to when I was a kid and a teenager, and even as an adult. So where did you want me to start? Younger or older? Which version of Brad?
Maybe older, because you would have had more experience in experiencing stress and anxiety and how to recognize them and how to navigate through them, right?
Yeah, I think one of them stemmed from more recently feeling a bit stuck in the job that I was at. Like, I absolutely loved working with kids, loved teaching your kids, and being at the same school as my boys went to. My wife not having to worry about where my kids were because I was working at the same school as they were. I think towards the end of that, I started studying counselling, felt like this is really what I wanted to do. But yeah, I think towards the end of that career, it was definitely a change I needed to make. But I think I didn't realise that I wouldn't say I was clinically depressed, but it was definitely sneaking up on me. I was sort of treading water in a job that wasn't 100% what I wanted to do. So I think one of the outward signs, and put up a photo later on if you like, but I got up to 128 kilos.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So, and that's the heaviest I've ever been. And I think that was just, I guess people describe it as eating your feelings. And that's not to body shame anyone that's larger or anything like that. But for me, that was not my ideal weight. I'd had a couple of injuries, a car accident, stopped running, stopped playing soccer, which was a fantastic outlet for me. And then combine that with, being stuck in a job that wasn't 100% what I wanted to do.
So the weight gain was an obvious sign for you?
Yeah, and that affects other things like the way you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't look the way you want to look, or if you're not fitting into the clothes that you want to wear, for a man or a woman, I think it's pretty much the same. Yeah.
And so what did you do to manage those things?
I think actually I have to give an honourable mention to a guy called Mike Ilias. It was one of those right time, right place moments. I actually remember exactly where we were. I was down the river. I wasn't water skiing because my body weight would have ripped the arms out of my shoulders. I was too heavy. I don't know if the boat would have been able to pull me out of the water either. It's funny, the boat couldn't pull me out, and Greenpeace kept pushing me back in. No, I can't make jokes like that. That's not okay. Yeah. But dear friend of mine, Adam, was not going to ski because he's not thin in an unattractive way. He's a very healthy weight. He's sort of maintained his weight for years. But he wasn't going to ski because he was cramping up. And so I did some stretching and stuff with him, and he got up straight away. And I just spent all this time and energy focusing on him. And because I thought, that's wrong. He's fit, he's strong, he should be able to do that. And it dawned on me, we were actually the same age.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm looking after Adam. I should be looking after Brad. And I think a lot of men, a lot of people in general, parents especially, can put themselves on the back burner and think, okay, I've got to look after the kids, I've got to look after the house, I've got to pay the bills. And they end up putting their own health and well-being last. And sometimes that's physical, sometimes that's mental, often it's both. But for me, it was like, I think it was the 2nd of January. And that was 2022. So right at the start of the year. And I knew of a guy called Mike Ilias, who was a coach. And he happened to put up a post in social media looking for guys who wanted to take part in a bit of a challenge. And I went, yeah, I need to do that. So I put my name in, but he knew about me. So it's like I knew about him from other guys in Wollongong, and he knew about me from other guys in Wollongong. And so he actually put my name forward to his the guy he works with, Jace, and said, I think we should get this guy. He had told me afterwards. I said I actually encouraged Jace to pick you. And long story short, I think I lost about 13 kilos in the next couple of probably about next 3 months, and I kept most of that off.
So what kind of coach is he?
It's kind of weird because he's a qualified personal trainer. He knows a fair bit about diets. They've got a pretty solid diet plan you can stick to. So it's not. It's all about. I like the fact that it was about this is what you should eat, instead of saying don't eat this, don't eat that, avoid this. It was just eat this.
Yeah. And
that's what I did. But the funniest thing is, I think I've actually worked out with him once in, what's it now, May. So once in like 17 months. More often than not, we would just chat and have a coffee. We might have walked once. But yeah, it was all about the mentality. I have no trouble getting up and going to the gym or walking, or now I can run, things like that. I have no trouble with any of that. But I think for him, just having that degree of empathy that he has was just the perfect coach, the perfect time when I made a decision. Yeah. And I think for me, part of it was, if I'm going to be a counsellor, I need to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. Not that I give a lot of advice, but part of it is sort of leading by example, practicing what you preach. And feel good. Yeah. On the weekend, I was chatting with a mate of mine that read a speech at my 40th, and I was sort of, these are the same jeans I wore 12 years ago at my 40th. Yeah. It was nice.
So what I take from that is, to change something in your life, having a coach, whether it's a fitness coach, whether it's a therapist, whether it's I don't know, whatever your next best thing is, like if it's writing a book, having a coach in that area. So having a coach of some sort in whatever area you are going down is beneficial.
Yeah, so I think that'd be more specifically a mentor. Like a mentor, someone who's been there and done it, is on the same journey as you, maybe just a bit further ahead.
Yeah.
Whereas a coach could be just someone who helps you get perspective. And so I could talk to a coach that has nothing to do with counselling as a business, but they would help me discern what areas I need to work on.
Yeah.
Whereas a mentor would be very much like, oh, I did this or I tried that. And Yeah, but yeah, it's exactly right. I think even at a lower level than that is just going to the gym is so much easier when you have a gym buddy, just someone you're accountable to.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Accountability is huge.
So my gym buddy is in America at the moment. Sean and Mel abandoned me to go to America for 5 weeks. But yeah, I've got other things in place to make sure that I still go to them. So walk this morning. I did weights yesterday. Yeah, it's been good.
I like that. And so even when even though we're talking about depression, anxiety, and stress, so having someone else speaking into your life and giving you tools and giving you different examples on ways to get through that, or even a sounding board, would be a necessity.
I feel like a lot of the time I am a sounding board. Like I said before, I don't give a lot of advice to my clients. That's not my job. But if I paraphrase something back to someone or ask them the right question, they often come up with their own answers. That's why the company is called Unlocking You. It's not making you more like Brad. You don't need my advice.
Yeah.
I don't even take it sometimes.
No, because we all have the answers within, right? We just need someone to ask the right questions.
People are amazing. But yeah, I think you get stuck in a rut and someone with a fresh perspective asking you, because you're the expert on you, asking what you need to work on at that time. And it's, the number of times we know what the answer is, but we don't actually have that conversation because we're so busy just doing. So sometimes it's just, I think part of it is you've taken the time out to focus on this instead of just going from task to task. You're actually focusing on what could I do, not so much should I do, but what are the options, and then choosing the one that works for you.
Yeah, that's such great advice. So how do you think cultural or societal factors influence the way men experience stress, depression, and anxiety? And are there unique challenges that men face in recognizing or seeking help for these conditions?
I don't know. I think we're men and women usually sort of feel stress and anxiety the same thing. Like there's a lot of commonalities. So men and women feel stressed when they become parents, and relationships tend to decline, which is really unfortunate. But 2/3 of relationship, according to the Gottman Institute, 2/3 of relationships, people say they're less happy than they were before they had children. Not sure why we still do it, but we did it twice. You did it more than twice. But so that impacts both of them. So they're less satisfied in the relationship, probably because time's a big factor, money's a big factor,
lack of sleep.
But I think we talked a lot about expectations of men. Is, I guess, if traditionally, if there was financial pressure, most of the time was all the man's expected to earn more. And there are lots of women that do lots of well-paid jobs. My wife's the breadwinner at the moment, and I'm pretty comfortable with that.
Yeah, wow.
Awesome. That's freed me up after 30 years of sort of head down, bum up.
Nice.
That I can do things like this. Have a bit of a change of career later in life.
So cool.
But I guess a lot of men's stress, depression, anxiety would come from expectations. So it's like, okay, well, we're not able to pay the bills this month. It's your fault.
Wow.
We've made a bad decision on this investment. It's your fault. And it's not uncommon for someone who's gone, okay, well, we're in a bad financial situation. That's my fault because I'm the man. If I die, I'm insured. All that debt will be covered. It's to some men in that sort of situation, that sounds like a rational way out. If I die, the mortgage is paid off. Of course, just like I would say, my kids would much rather have my wife here to be their mum and see them grow old and stuff like that, and I'd rather have her around as well. But it's like, okay, well, that's on me. That's my responsibility. I need to do this to make that happen. I know it's that to hear it out loud, it sort of sounds ludicrous, but that's for some guys, that's the thought process that they go through. It's like, we have a massive debt. I don't know how to solve it. It's my fault. I mean, I remember being one of the younger guys that I used to work in the steel industry before I was a teacher. And I was at I think it was a 40th, maybe a 30th. But it was an older guy with kids at the time. I didn't have kids. And he's pretty much crying into his beer because he wasn't as far ahead as he thought he should be at that age. So he's like, oh, I'm 50 and I haven't paid my mortgage off, or whatever it was he thought the expectation, his own expectation, maybe. Maybe it was his partner's expectation, I don't know. But he's pretty much crying into his beer at his own party because I should have this, I should do this. That's why I hate the shoulds.
Societal pressure and expectation and BS that's created. So what advice would you give to men who are struggling with stress, depression or anxiety, but may be hesitant to seek help or treatment?
I think the hardest part is starting that conversation. And the number of times I have a client, we're in my office today, I have a client sitting exactly where you are, and just this relief when they go, oh, what I'm feeling is common. What I'm feeling is sort of, to a degree, normal. I mean, I've had an alcoholic client sitting there and tell me his life story, and I'm like, I don't blame him for drinking. I mean, that's a lot of stress to have been through, and if that's all he could find to stop that pain at the time, it makes sense. It's not a long-term solution, but it got him through some really, really tough times. And he actually cried. That's one guy I'm thinking of. Because that was the first time someone said, I don't blame you. I understand why you would do that. That's a lot of stress, a lot of trauma, a lot of pressure.
Understandable.
Yeah. He's a lovely guy, and being told you're bad or you're wrong or stupid or whatever, like, well, no, I haven't been. And I think that's a sort of a blessing that I got from one of the things my mum used to say was, I don't know where it came from originally, but there but for the grace of God go I. And she was always like that, like probably the last person to judge anyone. And so I've got that going into my teaching and going into my counselling. I was like, okay, I really appreciate that. I've been brought up like that. I'm probably still got plenty of blind spots. But
probably.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
Yeah. But hearing someone make choices that are different to the choices I would have made, I don't have to go straight to judgment. I just go, oh, tell me more, and stay a bit more open and curious about that. But I think starting that conversation is hard. And my advice would be, if you go to a counsellor, for example, that makes you feel uncomfortable when you start opening up, go to a different counsellor.
Yeah, great advice. You don't have to stay with the one that you picked.
No.
Yeah.
And that's what I say. I even say that to my own clients. If I don't make you feel comfortable, please don't give up on counselling. Maybe I'm just not the right fit for you. But
you almost have the right to interview your therapist, right? Counsellor, therapist, because
not
you know.
Not almost.
Okay, fine.
100%. Well, if you were here paying me, that technically makes you my boss.
Yeah, right.
You pay my wages. But no, you've got to be comfortable, and it's a waste of time if you're not. I've been to some excellent counsellors. I've been to one that I just did not click with. I felt like she was going through the motion. I might have been her last client on a very long and tiring Thursday evening. I think I tried twice. After the second time, I just went, this is a waste of time. And didn't go back. That was on a mental health care plan. And it was just, it's not good walking in and feeling like the person would rather be somewhere else.
Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah, and that can happen. Like there can be people who are not fantastic at their job in any job. But you wouldn't stop eating if you went to a restaurant and the food was no good.
That's right.
So
that's so good.
We'll go to a different restaurant if unlocking you doesn't float your boat as far as counselling. Go somewhere else.
That's awesome. I love that. That's so good. So what are some effective strategies for building support systems and networks of care?
I think that's, if you do any sort of suicide prevention, one of the things is, and even in schools, we've done personal development and health type things, like, who are the people you can trust, who are the people you can talk to. Try and think of at least a couple, and let them know. Like, the thing about accountability is, if you don't tell the other person to hold you accountable, they probably don't always feel like they have the right. You shouldn't leave that to chance.
Yeah.
So, I'll say to Sean, and he'll say it back to me as well, like, kick my ass if I don't get up and go to the gym. I want to do a minimum of 3 times a week. I've been unless I've been sick. I had 4 days off about a week ago, and it was driving me up the wall. Yeah. I just want to stop coughing and get back in the gym. Yeah. But having that support network, just giving people permission to say, I'm okay with you asking this. No, and I think we talked about this a while ago, but knowing that this is probably the deep end of mental health or poor mental health, is you're not going to make someone more likely to take their own life by asking them, are you planning on taking your own life? Yeah. Are you thinking about that? As long as you make the space and the time to have that conversation. But we don't often do that unless we're deliberate. You have to be, and that's one of the things I love about things like Barstool Brothers or The Man Walk or Talk to Me Bro. We're very deliberate about having those conversations, and you've been in some of those conversations too. It's like,
really powerful.
How's your week going? And I don't want to hear just the highlights.
Yeah.
That's what social media is for.
Yeah, that's right. Facebook.
You want to hear what's not going well. And sometimes out of that you'll go, oh, I'll connect with, say if you said things aren't going fantastically financially, you might have someone else at the table that's gone, oh, I've been through that, or I'm going through that.
So good.
Let's compare notes, let's share ideas and talk about what's working. We've actually got a guy that's a financial advisor in one of our chat groups with Talk to Me Bro, and he's given people some wonderful free advice. But no one's going to give you that advice if you don't tell them you're going through something.
Yeah, that's right.
If if you're struggling with alcohol, people don't necessarily see that because you might drink at home by yourself. If you don't share that information, then someone can't say, hey, I've been through that, I can help you with that.
Yeah. And it's amazing how many people have been through like
Mm.
financial stress or addiction or divorce, and we don't know what they're going through. But if you just are brave enough to have the discussion, you can discover who else has been through it. And I love that because it does give you permission to have those conversations when you find out that someone else has been through those things, and there is no judgment.
Yeah, and I think, the more you have those conversations, the easier they become. Like, it's very normal, for example, Talk to Me Bro. Every Friday, it's just what's going well, what's not going so well, what's a win, what's a loss. It is our normal conversation. And if we haven't seen a guy for a week or two, we'll ring up and say, how you doing? And they know we don't just want, good, thanks, how are you? Haven't seen you for a while, what's going on?
Yeah, wow. It's
So,
really powerful.
and it's
So that's
not
building community and connection.
Yeah,
and
it's
rapport.
not one person doing all of that. It's it's just I haven't seen that person for a while. Barstool Brothers do it well.
Wow.
I haven't been because I think the nearest man walk for Wollongong is in Kiama, but I haven't been on that. But I imagine they'd do the same sort of things. I hope someone jumps on and comments about Man Walk or Gotcha for Life. They do a similar thing. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that a lot of these things develop out of negative incidents or circumstances. But it's great that these things there are not just what to do after something's happened, but a lot of it's preventative. If these conversations are normal, not only do we have someone we can talk to, but other people know that they can talk to us.
Yeah.
And there's usually no shortage. I'll probably keep saying this till the day I die. There's no shortage of guys in Australia putting their hand up to say, if you need someone to talk to, I'm here.
Yeah.
If you need someone to talk to, Ange, I'm your guy. But we need people that are brave enough to put their hand up and normalise saying, I need to talk to someone. I need help. If that's not normal, it doesn't happen. And I love the response we get in those communities when someone does that and like, oh, that sucks. And they obviously do the practical guy thing. How can I help? How can I fix it? But it's also just listening. Oh, so sorry you're going through that. There's this empathy. There's this idea of a problem shared is a problem halved sort of thing.
So I know we need to wrap it up in a sec. So what message would you like to send men who may be struggling with stress, depression, or anxiety, and how can they find hope and support in their journey toward better mental health?
I think the first two steps are do what you can to check on your physical health, and once you're feeling better and better connected, no, not once you're done. At the same time, I would also go, who else can I connect with? So connect with your own body, work out what's going on there. Are you the weight you want to be? Are you getting as much exercise as you want? Are you sleeping, eating, drinking right?
Because exercise releases natural dopamine, and certain foods that we eat release different, hormones and endorphins, pleasures in the body. And so, for example, if you're eating sugar to get that natural high, or not natural, sorry, if you're eating sugar to get that high, there's always a crash. Whereas if you're eating, and then there's always that craving for something more, because whatever we eat, our body craves more of. So if we are eating better, healthier, cleaner food, your body craves more of that, and it also produces different hormones and endorphins.
to create that better feeling, and it's more stable. It's not such a high and then a really bad crash because it's not the sugar.
There's an infographic I use, and it's got the 4 positive brain chemicals on it.
Uh-huh.
And I was saying this to a guy that came to the ice baths for the first time last week, and I was saying you actually get all 4 of them when we do those check-ins on a Friday morning. So you've got there's company there. There's the guys are very huggy, which is fine with me.
So cool. So cool.
So yeah, you might be for some guys that are lonely, that might be the first hug they've got all week, and you just go, oh.
I think we're supposed to have 8 hugs a day as humans.
Oh, okay.
Something like that.
I'll tell my family to step up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I hug my boys every day. I hug my wife every day. I hug my mates when I see them. But so you're seeing the sunrise. There's serotonin. You're hugging people. That's oxytocin. The ice bath. I'm not sure what brain chemicals that releases, but it does definitely release something.
Is that dopamine?
Yeah. And the banter, we obviously talk about deep stuff, but there's lots of jokes and stuff as well. So the guys are always laughing.
And it's building community.
Yeah, but coffee, that's the pleasure you're talking about from having something nice to eat or drink.
And it's building that community and that network with each other as well. Familiarity.
You get all the positive brain chemicals from doing something like that. So if you can get up and go for a walk with someone, and see a sunrise, or one of our beautiful beaches, or one of the walking tracks in the bush somewhere. Bush is, for Americans, that what do they call that? Forest?
Maybe, I don't know.
Bush, forest, yeah. Trees, greenery. If you can do any of those things, for me, that's the perfect start to the day. Even when I'm on holidays, my wife thinks I'm a nut, but I'll get up and go for a walk. And then she stops calling me a nut because I usually bring her back a coffee. So, yeah. But I like starting the day with exercise. I like seeing the sunrise. It's if there's a gym at the hotel we're staying at or the resort we're staying at, like that's probably where I'll be at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's my happy place.
Yeah.
So those 2 things, if you can look after your body and then connect with other people, so your body and connecting with them, that's sort of the 2 things that I would focus on mostly. Connecting with others and really, really knowing what's going on with yourself. Going to the doctors and getting a checkup, and the doctor will say you're carrying more weight than you should be, or your blood sugar's too high, or something else. Yeah. That's those 2 things a lot of men don't really do unless they're deliberate. You've got to be deliberate about these things, otherwise they do not happen.
Yeah. And so what is something that you would like to leave the listeners with today as we come to a close?
I think it's very cliche, but if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same result.
Yes.
If nothing changes, nothing changes.
Right.
So any change you make, in particular those 2 things, is positive. And you don't always see results straight away. But if you think, okay, these are my values and I'm moving towards them, not necessarily reaching the goal, but saying, okay, well, I ate healthier today than I did yesterday. I'm not going to all of a sudden be the weight I want to be, but I'm doing taking the right steps, moving in the right direction, according to my values, not someone else's values, because that never works. According to your own values, if you think, okay, I value being strong, I value being fit, I value being healthy, I'm making lots of little choices every day. It's not one big thing that you do differently, but it's, you've done physical training, what do you call it, bodybuilding or whatever it is.
Bodybuilding.
Weight training.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen in one day or 1 week or 1 month.
No, it doesn't. No, it's a lifestyle. And I think that's the whole thing, right? Just changing your entire lifestyle, but doing it a little bit at a time, because how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. Because if we try, I know it's cliche saying, but if we need to make changes and then we look at the big picture of where we want to go and try and get there quickly, it's too much, it's too big, it becomes overwhelming, and then you end up doing nothing, or you feel like you failed because you didn't get to where you wanted to get. So there's that saying, small hinges swing big doors. Just small changes at a time.
And that's why I focus on values rather than goals. Goals are still okay.
Goals are great to have.
But if your goal is to bench press 100 kilos, you go to the gym for months and not bench press. I haven't achieved. If your value is to, okay, I want to get stronger, so I'm going to increase what I'm lifting. Every time you go to the gym, you're using those muscles. You're ticking a box. You go, oh, I'm actually doing what I set out to do. If you just got focused on that one goal, I didn't do it today. But yeah, working out what your values are, not anyone else's, is so good. Just to go, okay, that, like, some people have values that are based on aesthetics. And that's okay because that's your value. Like, there's no good value or bad value. So I like things to look a certain way. I value the aesthetics there. That's okay. For some people, it might be they might want recognition from other people. That's okay. No one should tell you what your values are, but you know, once you know what your 5 or 6 core values are, you can make decisions every single day, hundreds of decisions in a week that are towards your values. That releases whatever chemical it is you release when you tick something off your to-do list.
I don't know what that one is.
I should know. I'll look up the infographic. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That's what I would leave people with. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you, Brad, and thanks to all our listeners. And if you have any feedback, questions, or comments, or anything, please feel free to reach out, and also share this with people who you might know that might need this. I can't speak. Well, thank you, and we'll see you again next time.
See you.
Follow Angela on Facebook and LinkedIn at Angela Bennett, on Instagram at AngieB_transformations, or visit angieb.com.au. And remember, your past does not define you, it refines you.